The ERP5 Rank is an investment tool that analysts use to discover undervalued companies. The ERP5 looks at the price-to-book ratio, earnings yield, ROIC and 5-year average ROIC. The ERP5 of Scali Limited, ASX NCK, is 2658. The lower the ERP5 rank, the more undervalued a company is thought to be. FCF Yield 5 years AVG. The FCF Yield 5 years average is calculated by taking the 5-year average free cash flow of a company and dividing it by the current enterprise value. Enterprise value is calculated by taking the market capitalization plus debt, minority interest and preferred shares, minus total cash and cash equivalents. The average FCF of a company is determined by looking at the cash generated by operations of the company. The free cash flow yield 5-year average of Scali Limited, ASX NCK, is 0.017905. Technicals and ratios. The EBITDA yield is a great way to determine a company's profitability. This number is calculated by dividing a company's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, association and amortization by the company's enterprise value. Enterprise value is calculated by taking the market capitalization plus debt, minority interest and preferred shares, minus total cash and cash equivalents. The EBITDA yield for Scali Limited, ASX NCK, is 0.100682. The earnings to price yield of Scali Limited, ASX NCK, is 0.070833. This is calculated by taking the earnings per share and dividing it by the last closing share price. This is one of the most popular methods investors use to evaluate a company's financial performance. Earnings yield is calculated by taking the operating income or earnings before interest and taxes, EBIT, and dividing it by the enterprise value of the company. The earnings yield for Scali Limited, ASX NCK, is 0.095536. Earnings yield helps investors measure the return on investment for a given company. Similarly, the earnings yield 5-year average is the 5-year average operating income or EBIT divided by the current enterprise value. The earnings yield 5-year average for Scali Limited is 0.031894. QI value. The QI value of Scali Limited, ASX NCK, is 12.00000. The QI value is another helpful tool in determining if a company is undervalued or not. The QI value is calculated using the following ratios: EBITDA yield, earnings yield, FCF yield, and liquidity. The lower the QI value, the more undervalued the company is thought to be. Quant scores. The M-score, conceived by accounting professor Masoud Binish, is a model for detecting whether a company has manipulated their earnings numbers or not. Scali Limited, ASX NCK, has an M-score of minus 3.206606. The M-score is based on 8 different variables: Days Sales and Receivables Index, Gross Margin Index, Asset Quality Index, Sales Growth Index, Depreciation Index, Sales, General and Administrative Expenses Index, Leverage Index and total accruals to total assets. A score higher than minus 1.78 is an indicator that the company might be manipulating their numbers.